Hi, my name is Kaylin here on YouTube. It's my mission to encourage you, to inspire you. I am doing that by opening up about different topics that are a little bit more difficult, but that could possibly help you a lot, because I feel like the things that are harder to open up about are the things that we need help with the most. And this is one of those topics today. What I'm going to share about today is my experience after I gave birth and the struggles that I went through. I'm going to be talking about the expectation of all the love that you will feel for your child after you give birth and my experience and how I did not feel that. I'm sharing on this topic with you today because this was something that was really difficult for me, and if someone had talked to me about it beforehand, I know that it would have been helpful to me. In talking to other new moms and sharing about my experience, I know it has helped them. So I want to put it out there for you, for whoever is watching this. If you're pregnant or plan on being pregnant one day, I hope to reshape your expectations to prevent you from the pain and confusion that I experienced. And if you're a new mom and you're having a hard time and you are feeling, like you don't love your baby, or if you're feeling lost and confused and overwhelmed at the prospect of caring for this new life, I hope that you watch this video and take what I have to say to heart, and I really, really hope that it helps you. So I had a hard time after my daughter was born, and then I realized some things that totally shifted my experience. What I'm going to be talking about is related to postpartum depression. I would not say that I had postpartum depression. That does not resonate with me. But this probably would be helpful for people who would say that they have had baby blues or postpartum depression. What I'm sharing with you is the sort of realization that I had that prevented me from going any further down that path. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing about what I expected to feel and my experience to be after I gave birth based on what I heard other women say, or based on the whole image that the media portrays regarding being a new mom. I'm going to share a little bit about my birth experience, more so my post-birth experience, in contrast to the expectations. And then I'm going to share with you the big realizations that I had that made all the difference for me. Okay, so first off, my expectations about what I'd feel, what I'd experience after I had a baby. I really expected to have a big rush of emotions after I gave birth. They say all the pain goes away and they put the baby on your chest. I'd feel completed, that I would have this experience of this crazy love that would transcend anything that I've ever experienced before, and that love would carry me on forever. I would get my tank filled up from that experience, and that love, that experience, those emotions would be enough to carry me through my whole journey of parenthood and being a mom. And all that love would cause me to be the best mom ever, because I'd feel so much love for this little baby. So that was my expectation, to feel all of those things. Spoiler alert, that's not what happened for me. And let me share a little bit about my experience. This is obviously a vulnerable topic, but I'm not afraid, because I know that I'm a great mom, and I know that what I experienced was normal, even though people don't talk about it. So I just want to normalize my experience to release you of any shame that you might have felt if you had a similar experience to me, because I know I felt like something was wrong with me. I'm not going to get into my whole labor and birth story, but I will tell you the end of it because it's relevant. I was at a birth center, no pain medication. There was a midwife there. My husband was there. My doula was there. Everyone there was amazing and super supportive. It was a great labor experience, actually. It was better than I could have imagined it to be. So I gave birth to her. They put her on my chest. The midwife informs me that I am bleeding a lot, and the bleeding is much more than what's normal. And we're at a birth center, so they want to take extra precautions. So the midwife gives me Pitocin, which is what actually causes contractions, and many women take when they're in labor. So she gives me the Pitocin to contract my uterus to stop the bleeding so I don't hemorrhage or anything. I am in excruciating pain. I was just almost in tears because I was in so much pain, because I don't know, just like the contractions it was causing in my uterus, even though she's already here. I couldn't even look at her. I just remember feeling so guilty. I remember laying there with her on my chest thinking, I haven't even looked at her yet. I didn't have the strength to. I was physically just in survival mode. My body was convulsing, and you're in a time warp when you give birth, and I do not know how long that went on for, maybe 10 minutes or so, until I finally delivered the placenta, because after you give birth you have to deliver the placenta too. So, and then it kind of subsided from there. So the first expectation wasn't met. All my pain did not go away. In fact, I was in just as much pain. It almost felt like more pain because I was so lucid, and it was just unbearable. So that expectation was not met. I was already experiencing all that mom guilt for not even looking at her and making eye contact with her and having that magical moment. So finally, my body starts to kind of settle down a little bit. I'm still shaking, I'm so cold, and I think I asked for my husband to help me lift her up because I didn't have the strength to look at her. So I see her, and it's hard to tell this story because I have so much love for her now that it's hard to talk about this without kind of imposing my current feelings on this experience. But long story short, I did not feel all of that love then. I knew I loved her, and I knew she was mine, and I knew, in my mind we were going to develop a relationship, and that she was my daughter, and that I was her mother, and yeah, I didn't have that crazy rush of love. I did not have that experience. I felt really underwhelmed by seeing her, and I know that sounds really sad, but if you take away all the expectations you've seen and heard of, and you literally just imagine, that's what it was. It was like, wow, here's a person, and she's my daughter, and my life is forever changed, and I don't know what I just did, and I know this means so much, but okay, here we go. I was kind of in shock and just kind of accepted the situation for what it was. The emotions weren't crazy off the charts. I wasn't overcome with a new sense of purpose. I was just taking her all in, and I was just looking at her and admiring her, and I was looking at her features and trying to take in who she was and that we made this little girl. That night we were at the birth center. I gave birth at 12:01 a.m. and my husband and I slept in the bed there, and she slept right in between us right there, and I could not sleep. I was up captivated by her, but there wasn't that crazy love there, and I was already feeling like, oh my gosh, like I missed the mark. I already felt like this big sense of failure in me and shame that I didn't have that experience. Like, I was supposed to be up here and I was down here. Like, I missed it. Like, I'm doomed. Like, for all of motherhood, I am doomed. I didn't get my tank filled up with all of that love in that moment. Like, how the heck am I going to be a good mom if I didn't feel those feelings? So that was my experience. I just kept moving forward, kind of in hopes that those feelings would come, and I just kept that experience to myself. Being a new parent is really hard. I didn't sleep for more than 2 hours in a row for at least the first 3 months. And it's hard, they can look at you for a little bit, their eyes are kind of glazed over, and she would look up at me, and I'd just try and take her all in, and I cared for her, but still all of those feelings weren't there, and I started feeling like, wow, I'm not cut out to be a mom. I didn't have that experience that I know all those amazing moms have, where they're so in love with their baby and they experience a love like they never knew before. That didn't happen to me. Being myself, I just focused on the positive and tried to tell myself, I love her, I love her. I tried to use my will to tell myself that I loved her. But that shame was still sitting on me. That shame of feeling like I wasn't good enough, I wasn't fit for this, was just weighing on me. You start to question, like, did I mess up? Like, should I have had this baby? This baby deserves more than me. This baby deserves someone who loves her. This baby deserves someone who, has all of those feelings and can be a good mom, because I can't do that. And that's what I felt. I felt that there's no way I could be a good mom without all of those feelings. And one day I realized I should probably tell my husband this. But I was so afraid to. I was so ashamed. I thought that he would see me as I saw myself. So I talked to my husband. I tell my husband that I didn't have that magical experience, that I thought that I wasn't fit to be a mom because of all of this. And that was the first step to that all kind of getting sorted out in my mind and my heart. And he said, what did he say? He said, being a mom shouldn't complete you. That's not healthy. So I started thinking about that and realized he's right. Like, that's not healthy. I should be complete as my own. And if my hope was in my daughter to complete me, I would actually not be a good mom, because I would be relying on this role of being a mother to fulfill all of these things that being a mother cannot fulfill. Yeah, being a mother is a role that nothing can compare to and has so much value. But if you have your whole identity wrapped up in being a mother, you're going to continuously be feeling like you're not good enough, because no one can be the perfect mom. There is no such thing. So you're going to be feeling like you're always missing the mark. Then eventually when your child moves out, you're going to feel empty and purposeless and lost. And all these thoughts were kind of going through my mind, and I was realizing, he has a point. Like, being a mom shouldn't complete me. And when I realized that, some of that shame just lifted off of me, because I realized I was wrong for thinking that I should feel completed. But I felt that way because that's what I thought was supposed to happen based off expectations. And so that was part of it. The second part I realized is that love is a choice. And some people do experience, all that crazy love when they give birth. And maybe it will be that way with my next one. I feel like it will be. But for those of you who didn't experience that, I honestly think that's so normal. And I realized that the only reason that I struggled was because of my expectations. If I didn't have that expectation, I would not feel like anything is wrong with me. It's normal to not have that crazy love. I had to build my relationship with my daughter, and it takes time because they're so unengaged when they're first born. They're so premature in a sense. They can't walk. Even a baby cow when it's born can walk. A baby human can't even walk for like a year. They can't even hold their head up. They can't do anything. And you just have to keep giving and giving and giving. And what I realized is that that relationship takes time to build. And that love takes time to grow. And love is not a feeling. You can feel those feelings, but love is really most beautiful when it's actually a choice. Something amazing happens when you don't feel that pressure to love, because that's what I felt. I put that pressure on myself to feel those feelings of love. And once I realized that it was normal to not have that experience, I was free to move past that. And today I have so much love for my daughter. She's almost 10 months and I love her more than anything. I think about her all the time. I love being a mom. She brings me so much joy. I know how important my role is as a mother, and it doesn't complete me, but it's the most special thing that I've ever done. It's the most challenging and rewarding and amazing thing that I have ever done. And being here at this point, that's why I really believe that with my next baby, I probably will feel more feelings of love, because I know what's down the road. I feel like it's such a mental thing of where you think you should be and where you perceive you actually are. And in that gap is where that sort of depression or feeling of shame or guilt or just that whole not good enough mentality comes in. And that's why I'm talking about this with you today, because I want to let you know that if you don't feel those feelings, it's okay. And you're still a good mom. And I know that I'm a great mom. I'm not perfect, and there are a lot of things that I could be doing this or that, but I just don't measure myself by that. I don't measure myself at all. All I do is just do my best to love my daughter, and sometimes there are things I wish I could be doing more, but I don't get on myself for those things because I'm only human, and it's so important to have grace for yourself. You have to love yourself and support yourself. I think it was probably only a week or two that I felt that way, but I really think that that's the root of all of those postpartum issues. And I'm not a doctor, but I know from my experience that if that continued on, it probably would have been more overwhelming to deal with. And every day you feel those feelings, or every minute or hour or whatever, it just doesn't feel good. So I'm really glad that I was able to receive the truth in my mind and my heart before those feelings continued on for long. And from that point, I stopped relying on my feelings, and I relied on God to make me fit to be a mom. I put my hope in Him, and I trusted Him that He had equipped me to be a mom, and that I had it in me, and that I had the love in me that I would need. And I just started to believe that that love would grow in time. And now the more that I get to know her personality, I just can't get enough. It's just like falling in love with a person. There's some people who say they have fallen in love at first sight or believe in that, and there were the rest of us who have gotten to know people and then fallen in love. And that is how it has been for me with my daughter. And the more I get to know her, the more that I love her. So I hope this story means something to you. If you are feeling shame for any reason, it's not based on the truth, because the truth about you, shame is not part of it. Shame is not something for you to carry. So I just pray that any shame you're feeling would just be dissipated, and that you would receive the truth into your mind and into your heart, so that you can be free from that. I really hope that this was helpful for you, whatever state you are in. If you know any new moms, please share this video with them. If you know any people who are pregnant, please share this with them or talk to them about this, because I really think that it could make a big difference to them. And again, I know all people don't have this experience, but I know it is so common and so seldom talked about. Thank you so much for watching. You are so loved and you are so beautiful. I hope that you have a beautiful day, because you are absolutely worth it. I love you, and I will see you in my next video. Okay, bye.